When we got married, Emma had already been horseback riding for years. She had never had a horse of her own, but she preferred to take lessons every week. Even the stable staff laughed at the cost of lessons. In her 44 years, she had been riding for over 30 years, so she was used to teaching and dressing some of the more challenging horses. Although we were known as a close couple, we couldn't share as I was wildly allergic to horses. My head started to swell and my eyes started to close. We only found out about it when I was a child on a pony trek during a vacation in Spain. I didn't make it into any of those vacation photos. Various families managed to corner me in the elevator to make sure my parents wouldn't hurt me. My father understood but said, "We're going to get arrested, and all he did was ride a damn pony." So Emma's passion for riding was definitely her thing. However, unless we were at work or she was riding, we were together. Our daughter Sophie was 23 years old and living with her boyfriend Rich. She had never been interested in horseback riding, but she could skate, which meant many early mornings for poor old Dad when I took her to practice. I enjoyed a few hours of solitude on Sunday mornings while Emma skated. It was my vacation, me and the dog. One Sunday, she had only been gone for half an hour when the bell rang in the stable. "Is that Will?" "It's the stable." "Don't worry, but Emma's fainted." "Don't panic, she's fine, but she thinks she might have broken her arm." I was there within 10 minutes. I was running around looking for the office. I never would have risked looking in there before. When I finally found her, I was shocked. Not only was she crying, her face was covered in blood. She had smashed her nose and bit her lip hard. "You could have warned me about the blood." The young stable girl looked shocked and panicked. "Master isn't here today. We didn't know what to do." "Well, you could have called an ambulance for starters," I snapped, carefully leading the screaming Emma to the car. It was a 10-minute drive to the hospital, and it was the longest drive of my life. She was in so much pain. It was heartbreakingly painful to hear a loved one suffering and not be able to do anything to help. We were halfway through the ride when she suddenly said, "I think I passed out. I was driving, and then you started talking about blood." This brief moment of epiphany soon ended as she continued to sob and scream. In the emergency room, once they had recovered from the shock of having a trauma patient come in to see them, they took over. We could constantly hear the chanting, "You are admitted!" The worst part was that Emma couldn't give them the details they so desperately needed, as she had no memory of how she had fallen. The stable staff wouldn't tell me anything either. I was becoming increasingly irritated and frustrated. However, the resuscitation staff were great. They soon injected her with pain medication and took her to X-rays and a CT scan. In the turmoil, the stable staff gave me Emma's cell phone. It had been constantly vibrating in my pocket since we arrived at the hospital. I hadn't been paying attention to it, but during the wait, it started to annoy me. I opened it and was surprised to find that it had an access code. My phone didn't have one, and I assumed hers didn't either. We've always had open access to our phones. When did that change? While I waited, my phone kept vibrating, so I decided to try dialing a few numbers. On the second try, I succeeded. Her parents' wedding anniversary. Her mom had died from complications of Alzheimer's, and her dad had died shortly after. Emma was sure he died of a broken heart. There were many missed calls and many messages from someone named Amy. Never heard of her? I opened the messages, and it quickly became clear that Amy was actually Adam. "Where are you, baby? Are you late for your walk? You already got a ride. Now it's my turn. Your horse is ready. Is everything all right? I'm getting worried. You never miss our Sunday morning jumps. Text me, please, baby. I'm really worried." You've heard the expression, "and the world stopped." Well, mine stopped at that moment. I could hear the noise and honking of cars, the sound of a tabloid asking the cleaners to clean up Bay 3, but my world stopped. Who the hell was Adam? All the other messages had been deleted, so I only had what I'd read. I don't know how long I sat like that until Emma came back on wheels. Before we could talk, a young doctor with a hipster beard burst into the room. "Well, Emma, You've made a mess of things, haven't you? Your left elbow and wrist are dislocated. Your wrist is also broken. You broke your right hand and thumb. You have also broken several ribs and your nose. You will need surgery on your wrist and thumb in the next few days, but you need to set your elbow first. I suggest your husband wait outside in the hallway. I guess he's heard enough screaming for one day. He looks rather pale. He didn't realize I had another reason to be shocked. I waited outside while her elbow was being set. It seemed like only a few minutes passed before the bearded doctor called me back in. The room was a mess, and the bed was covered in plaster. Emma was plastered up to the top of her left arm, and her right arm was plastered up to her elbow. I don't know what they gave Emma other than Entonox, but she clearly felt no pain. She had a dreamy look on her face. "How is the best husband in the world doing? You came to save me, didn't you?" I saw my opportunity. "Yes, but Adam will miss you this morning, won't he?" "Poor Adam, he'll be sad without my visit. You'd like him, he's nice. I cheer him up, he's so sad about his wife. She's sick, just like Mom." "Should I go and tell Adam about your accident so he won't worry?" "You really are the best husband in the world. Tell him while I get some sleep. He lives at May's cottage. I love you." With these words, she fell asleep. The nurse who was trying to remove the cast smiled and said, "She will be going to the ward soon. I would let her sleep if I were you. You've had a shock too. Go and get some rest." She had no idea what a shock I had just gone through. She handed me a card with information about the orthopedic unit, where Emma would soon be transferred, and I sadly walked back to my car to pay for the huge parking lot that awaited me. At least Millie the dog was happy to see me when I finally made it home. I called Sophie and told her what had happened to her mom and what room she would be lying in. "Oh, Dad, what a shock for you. How will you cope when she gets out of hospital? She won't be able to do anything on her own. You'll have to clean her up, wash her, dress her, and comb her hair." "I won't do any of that, Sophie," I said, my voice cracking. "I won't be here. I'm divorcing your mom. Maybe her boyfriend will want to keep an eye on her." "What are you talking about, Dad? What boyfriend?" "His name is Adam," and I told Sophie everything I knew. She was stunned, but promised to come by and pick up my sleep clothes and toiletries to take to Mom. She caught me in the dark house, staring off into space. I hadn't even noticed it was getting dark. She turned on the lamp by my chair and took my hand. "Rough day, Daddy?" "The worst, honey. I can't believe this has happened. I'm so torn. I hate her for what she did to us, but at the same time I can't help but worry about her. It was so horrible to see her pain this morning. It breaks my heart to think that there is nothing I can do to help her. Now my heart is broken for another reason. Dad, Rich and I are here for you. There's no way you can be wrong." I handed her the phone and let her read the messages. "Bitch, I can't believe she did that to you." "She's still your mom, Sophie. She's just not my wife anymore." "Dad, she didn't just cheat on you. She cheated on the whole family. I'm going to go visit her. I'm going to make sure she's comfortable. Give her these things. I'll tell her you're in shock and ask you not to come until tomorrow. That will give you time to decide what to do. I won't tell her we know anything. I think that's for you to say. I love you, Daddy. You deserved better." When she left, I'm not ashamed to admit that I cried. The day had been just awful. Even though I hardly slept at all, I got up to go to work as normal. Perhaps a normal life was just what I needed. However, something puzzled me. May's cottage? Something about the address alerted me. It was one of those cottages they call spring cottages. Abby, a new associate at my firm, lived at April Cottage. I even gave her a ride one evening when she had car trouble. There were 3 terraced cottages in total: March Cottage, April Cottage, and May Cottage. They were perched high above the road, and there were steps leading down to the garden. I called her into my office. "Hello, Abby. Don't worry, you don't have a problem. It's not work-related, it's something else. Something personal, to be honest. I just wanted to ask a question. You don't have to answer it if it makes you uncomfortable. Abby looked horrified. I'm sure she thought I was about to make a statement that would make her go to HR as soon as possible. I decided to continue. What can you tell me about Adam, who lives in your neighborhood? Why? Is he a friend of yours, Mr. Bannister? No, quite the opposite. My friend is not very happy with your neighbor at the moment. He's not happy with his husband, this friend of yours? Yes, dissatisfied. Well, I think there are many like him. He has several different women for different days. He tried it with my mom once. My dad was going to spank him. We can't figure out how he does it. Have you ever seen him? No, I haven't had that pleasure. Well, he's not handsome. In fact, he's fat and bald with false hair. We can't figure out how he manages to get these women. Some of them are a little dubious, but some of them are really attractive. His Sunday morning woman is a real beauty. Mom always has to make sure Dad is busy when she comes in because she catches him peeping at her in her jodhpurs. If she noticed that I flinched at that statement, she didn't show it in any way. What about his wife? Oh, that's sad. She's in a nursing home. She has early dementia. She's not even 50 yet. He never visits her. It's not even one of the nicest homes. His daughter doesn't talk to him anymore. She thinks he put her mom in a nursing home too soon. If he had shown concern for her, she could have stayed in her home a little longer. But he wasn't interested. Now she's resigned to the fact that her mom is gone. But she's very bitter that he didn't show her any compassion in the early days, and she doesn't want to put up with the fact that he slept with everyone. Thank you, Abby. It sounds like he's just adorable. That was very enlightening. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you by discussing this with you. It's just that I recognized the address and thought of you. That's all right, Mr. Bannister. You've always been very kind to me. I'm glad I could help, and I'm sorry about your friend. If he's as good as you are, I'm sure he doesn't deserve it. In the afternoon, I got a call from the ward. The staff wanted to make sure someone would be home to look after Emma after the operation. I told them that we had broken up and that I would not be responsible for her care. They looked puzzled as Emma assured them that I would be looking after her. I emphasized that she was confused and that we were no longer together. I have to say that I didn't get much work done that day. I just couldn't focus on anything, so I decided to take the rest of the week off. I thought that work would be able to distract me, but I was wrong. I also needed to find a temporary place to live. First, I needed to get Emma's car from the stables. I saw one of the stable boys and took the opportunity to ask how long Emma usually rides on Sunday morning. For the last 6 months, 1 hour has been enough for her. She said she can't afford 3 hours every week anymore. That told me all I wanted to know. She had been visiting that creep for 6 months and lying to me. I headed home fully expecting to spend the night drunk. I couldn't stop thinking about Emma. I had loved her for 25 years, and I thought she felt the same way. We had always been so happy. I hated what she had done, but I also hated the thought of her lying alone in a hospital bed during visits. I also felt she needed to know what I knew and why we were divorcing. She deserved to know that. I found her in a side room. I put her cell phone on the nightstand by the bed. I made sure to delete Adam's number. Let her try to contact him now with no problem. When she spotted me, I didn't get a warm welcome. Where have you been? I can't believe you did this to me, abandoned me when I needed you so much. The nurse told me you wouldn't take care of me when I got home. Please tell me she's wrong. I don't want someone else to take care of me. I don't want strangers to take me to the bathroom and shower. It's embarrassing. Well, it was very awkward for me to find out that my wife was promiscuous. I would have been happy to court you and would have done it with pride until you decided to let some jerk take your jodhpurs off every Sunday morning for the last 6 months. I can't believe you expect me to take care of you after what you did. What are you talking about? You're missing the point. Maybe I should call Adam, babe. He's been taking care of your intimate needs lately. Maybe you could ask him to wipe your ass. Although from what I've heard about him, he's not particularly empathic. Who told you that? Aren't you supposed to know that? You told me. Well, you both told me. He kept calling, worried he'd missed his little Sunday morning treat. You don't understand. It's not like that. He's not like that. He's not a threat to us. I know I crossed the line. I know you're upset, and you have every right to be. But it's not what you think. You've been having sex with another man on a weekly basis. That's exactly what I think. You crossed the line. You drew a line through our marriage. Invalid. You can't think that. I was just comforting Adam. I was riding my horse one morning and he suddenly stopped and refused to move. We started talking. He told me about his wife having dementia. He looked so sad. It made me think of my mom and dad. And you decided to comfort him with your body? I've never been as sad as I was at that moment. I hope some passing nurse wants to cheer me up in the same way. You don't mean that. Oh, I do. Our marriage is null and void, remember? I went back to the market and you were alone. They asked me if there was anyone at home to look after you and I said no. After the surgery, a rehabilitation team will come to you to organize caregivers for you. They will come to see you 4 times a day. Of course, you will have to wear adult diapers until they come to change you. Sorry about that. And don't you dare ask Sophie to help. She has an aversion to you. I'm sure she'll stop by from time to time. After all, you're her mom, but she's made it clear she won't be looking out for you. Will, I know what I did was wrong, but I don't deserve this. No, Emma, none of us deserve what happened. At least your bones will heal and you'll recover in a couple months. You'll be riding your horses again, riding Adam and God knows who else. And me? I'll never get over what you did. I'll never heal. You broke me forever. Don't say that, please. I love you. I can't lose you over this. We're too special together. Well, obviously not special enough. What do you think will happen when I find out? I didn't think you'd find out. It was completely separate from us. It started innocently enough. I didn't intend to deceive you, to hurt you. It just happened. What, you just slept with him on a weekly basis? No, after that first meeting, I started dropping by to chat with him when I got home from my walk. I felt so sorry for him. He looked so sad, so pathetic, really. He's not as handsome and trim as you are. Not that I found him attractive, I just felt sorry for him. So you decided to give him pity sex? I don't know what's worse. If he were a young, handsome man, that would be bad enough, but him. You left us for someone like him because you felt sorry for him? It's just that it happened the first time. He started crying and I just started comforting him. What's next? Will you comfort the homeless young men who are sad because they are still virgins, or maybe visit old men in nursing homes to comfort them? There are many unhappy men in the world. Are you really going to comfort them all? She flinched at that word. I knew how much she hated that expression. Of course not. That was quite different. I was ashamed after that first time, but then I came home to you and realized that nothing needed to change. You didn't know anything about him, and he, though he knew I was married, didn't know anything about you. He didn't even know your name. It was separate from us, like my writing. I could keep it in a little box. So because I didn't know, because I trusted you, you decided to continue? He must have been very important to you since you betrayed me so easily. Was he worth your attention? Did he make you feel good? Did he excite you? You kept coming back for more? What can I say? I may not have found him attractive in that sense, but he was different, and I admit I responded, but he was never as good as you, not even close. He just hadn't been with a woman for so long because his wife was sick. In fact, I was just trying to comfort him. Yeah, that's what you said, but you got it all wrong. He has different women coming in and out of that cottage every day. Different women on different days. He probably calls you all baby, so he doesn't get your names mixed up. You weren't special, you were just one of many. Some of them, by all accounts, were pretty rough. If it makes you feel any better, you were the most attractive, according to the neighbors. That reminds me, I should probably get checked for STDs, don't you think? I wonder where in the hospital that department is located. Being the faithful husband I am, I've never inquired about it before. Other women? I can't believe it. Does it shock you that the one you were unfaithful with, oh, he was just using you? Your little charity lover is a real bastard. He doesn't even visit his poor wife. His own daughter stopped talking to him because he's such a bastard. That's who you left me for, left our marriage, for a fat, unattractive liar. I hope it was worth it. I walked away before I could say anything more. I admit I felt some satisfaction when I heard her sobbing. It wasn't worth it. Later that night, I found myself parking in front of May's cottage. I'm not sure exactly why, but I wanted to take a look at this Adam, who seemed no different from me, yet managed to steal my wife away from me and ruin my marriage. I hadn't been sitting like that for long when I heard a light knock on the window. It was Abby. "Mr. Bannister, please come in and meet my mom and dad. It was you, wasn't it? Not your friend. Was it your wife who was part of Adam's harem?" I just nodded and followed her into April's cottage. Her parents were waiting inside. "I've put the kettle on," her mom, Tracy, said. "Now come here, someone needs a hug." I found myself in the warm embrace of this stranger. Strangely, it was exactly what I needed. There was no judgment in that hug, only kindness. I found out later that Tracy was one of the sweetest women I had ever known. Her husband, Clive, simply shook my hand and said, "You don't have to feel awkward, buddy. You're among friends here. When Abby saw you on the street, she knew her suspicions were right." I told them what had happened, and what I had learned over the last day. Clive, though, looked a little confused when he realized that Emma was the same lady in Jodhpur he had admired Sunday morning. "So, what are your plans?" Tracy asked. "Well, I'm getting a divorce, there's no doubt about that. I wasn't anyone's cuckold, whether I knew it or not. I need to find a place to live before Emma comes home. I'm not going to court her, that's for sure." "What a stupid woman, giving you up for that brat from next door. He tried to go out with me too, but I blew him off. Too bad Emma didn't. I want revenge on Adam too. I don't think he deserves to sleep with married women and ruin other people's marriages." Tracy looked at Clive and said, "I may have a solution, Will. It's a bit strange, but I think it might work. My friend Dawn, who lives in the cottage next door in March, is coming to New Zealand for the next 6 months to visit her son and grandchildren. I'm looking after the cottage. She was hoping to find a tenant for a short-term rental, but that hasn't happened. I'm going to give her a call and see if she would be willing to let you and your little dog live there for a while. I'm sure that won't be a problem. That way you can keep an eye on Adam and his shenanigans while you plan your revenge." Clive said, "Maybe we should encourage him, Tracy." "And you? You were ready to blow his mind when he tried to do that to me. What would you have done if he'd succeeded?" "Fair enough, sweetheart. Leave it to me. I'm sure I can figure out how to help our new neighbor." By the end of the week, Emma's surgery was complete, and I had already moved into March Cottage with Millie, my little dog. She was a great comfort to me. I knew Emma would miss her too, but Millie needed looking after, and I was the only one who could do that. Clive introduced Adam to me as an old friend of Dawn's, who was temporarily looking after her cottage. He didn't look too interested, but it gave me a chance to see my nemesis properly for the first time. He was overweight, his thin hair slicked back on his balding head. There was a sense of arrogance about him. I still found it hard to believe that Emma could have had anything to do with him. He clearly knew how to turn on the charm when it came to an attractive woman. The best part was that I now had a lot of free time on my hands and could perfectly watch his comings and goings. I knew when his regular woman would show up. Abby was right. He wasn't too picky. I bet he couldn't believe his luck when he got his hands on a beauty like Emma. I followed 3 different women after their dates with him. Soon I knew everything about them. I told Clive I wanted to make sure the other husbands found out, but first I wanted revenge myself. Clive was quickly becoming my new best friend. He invited me to go fishing with him, and I found the activity relaxing. We spent a lot of time coming up with more and more unusual ways to get back at our neighbor. One morning I was rushing to work and slipped on the steps leading from the garden to the road. I didn't hurt myself, but that's what gave me the idea. Clive was in agreement, and early that morning I strung fishing line on Adam's gate posts. To get his attention, I set off his car alarm by smashing the window with a brick. I'd be lying if I said it didn't give me pleasure. Hiding behind his car, I saw the headlights come on and heard the door open as he came running down the driveway, unbuttoning his robe and throwing it over his back. Tripping over the wire, he somersaulted down the steps and flew to the sidewalk, spreading his arms in an attempt to escape. I heard a sickening crack as he hit the ground. I waited until I heard Clive coming out and jumped out from behind the car as if I had just arrived. "Call an ambulance, Will!" Clive shouted, and I crouched down on the step, shielding Clive from Adam's gaze. While I was talking to the emergency services, I quickly removed the fishing line and put it in my pocket. Adam groaned in pain. Both of his arms seemed to be at different angles. "Sorry, buddy. The ambulance won't be here for a while." I looked concerned for my neighbor. I even went to get a blanket to keep him warm. As we watched the ambulance pull away, Tracy showed up with her legendary tea. "Are you feeling better now?" "I think so, a little." "I know I am," Clive laughed. It turned out that Adam had broken both wrists. It seemed appropriate to me that the two crooks had the same injuries, especially when you consider that he, like Emma, will have to have a plaster cast and a double plaster cast at that. I wonder who he'll find to wipe his ass. Looks like he'll need the same caregivers as Emma to keep an eye on him. In the weeks that followed, Sophie visited me regularly. She was a wonderful support, as were Clive and Tracy, who became close friends. I didn't ask too much about Emma, but Sophie assured me that she was feeling well after the operation. Sophie checked in on her mom, but remained in her own mind and refused to take any care of her. "And how are you, Dad? How are you feeling now that you've had time to recover from the shock a bit?" "I don't think I'll ever get over it, dear. The shock of seeing your mom in so much pain and not being able to help her, and what I found out about Adam. It's all so mixed up in my head. Some part of me feels guilty." "Why do you feel guilty?" "Sophie, I've spent my entire adult life taking care of your mom, worrying about her and loving her. It's really hard for me not to care about her now when she needs me. Heck, it's hard for me not to be with her, but then I realize that this is the Emma I thought I was. The Emma I loved would never sleep with someone else. The Emma I loved and still love doesn't really exist." "Oh, Daddy, I don't know what to say. You don't deserve this. Are you saying you can never be together again?" "I've thought about that a lot. I can still love and miss that version of your mom, and at the same time, not love the real one. I can never trust her again. She gave in so easily to a liar. You have to be able to trust your partner. I don't want to be the kind of husband who has to watch his wife. Every time she stayed home late and I should have been at work, I wondered what she was up to. Who was she? She deceived me so easily because I trusted her completely. No, I deserve more than that. I deserve loyalty. I deserve peace. So no, there will be no going back to your mother." "Thank God. Honestly, I'm relieved, Dad. You're doing the right thing. Remember, I love you very much." With those words, she kissed me goodbye and headed home to Rich's house. I knew she was going to be okay. It was a few months after the accident when I saw Emma's car stopped outside my cottage. Already almost fully recovered, Sophie informed me that her mom would be back at work the following week. I wasn't sure I wanted to talk to her after our last conversation at the hospital, and just left it to the lawyers to handle the divorce proceedings. It was a very easy divorce. Emma was earning a little more than me. We agreed to keep our pensions, pay no alimony, and split the income from the house. All of these early stages went fairly smoothly. I hoped she wouldn't try to change my mind. I was shocked to see that she took Adam's path rather than my own. Surely she wasn't going to date him again. He clearly meant more to her than she claimed. At that moment, I realized it didn't bother me anymore. I felt nothing. It's true what they say. Indifference is a beautiful thing. If she still wants that fat ass, let her have it. Those two-faced bastards deserved each other. However, I was wrong. Emma hadn't come to rekindle their romance. From the threshold, I watched as he opened the door and as Emma threw her bag at his face with a swing. "You bastard, you ruined my life. I hate you. I've lost everything because of you. My husband is divorcing me and my daughter barely speaks to me. Your pathetic lies have cost me everything." With those words, she kicked him to his feet and staggered down the path. Only when she reached her car did she see me. She was clearly shocked. Sophie must not have told her where I lived. She hesitated for a moment and rushed off before the police arrived. A short time later, they arrived at my house. There had been an incident at a neighboring house. Mr. Adam White has been attacked. Did you see anything? No, officer, nothing. I don't know if you know this, but Adam has a reputation in the neighborhood for getting involved with married women. There are a lot of angry husbands out there. His car was vandalized a couple months ago. I know about it because I called the police. Until that night, he had a lot of different women coming and going. There's a woman who works in a betting shop. I think her name is Mandy. She lives on Condor Road. There's a red-haired woman. I don't know her name, but I know her husband is a painter and decorator. He did a job for me once at Swish Painters, I think. There was also a woman who came with a large dog. I know her. She's a member of the parish council. I saw her in the paper. Mrs. Ann Heald. You seem to know a lot about it, sir. Everybody knows. Go and ask Tracy or Clive next door. You can ask my soon-to-be ex-wife if you like. She knows all about it, too. The police contacted the husbands of his other women, as Adam's concussion caused him to initially remember nothing of the assault itself. Eventually, Emma was arrested for the assault on him. It gave me no pleasure, but it was no longer in my power to defend her. Sophie told me later that her mom wanted to hit him, but her wrist was still weak and her thumb would never fully recover, so she had to settle for a brick in her purse. Interestingly, we both chose the same weapon. I was embarrassed when the local paper ran the story, but I didn't feel as bad as other husbands who had been publicly exposed as cuckolds. Adam quickly regretted living in a dark country lane with no CCTV cameras, as he had several accidents that may or may not have been related to those other husbands. He decided to sell the house. He ended up moving out before I did. As for Emma, she eventually agreed to the divorce. Deep down, she knew there was no turning back for us. Sophie and Rich still saw her, but they were on my side, and their relationship with her would never fully recover. Sophie knew I could never get over Emma's betrayal, but I promised to be civil to her mother if our paths ever crossed. First, it was at Sophie and Rich's engagement party. I even asked Emma to dance, much to everyone's surprise. "I thought you hated me," Emma said, snuggling into my shoulder like old times. "I don't hate you, I just don't like you anymore. I don't really like you either. You did a big stupid thing, and now you're paying for it. You've lost me. No matter what happens in the future, you'll never find what we had. I'm sure you'll find someone else. You're a very attractive woman, but no one will ever be first for you. It's all me. No one else will hold your hand when you give birth or comfort you when your parents die. All those little intimate moments you'll never be able to recreate with someone else. You will always miss me. This is your punishment." She cried quietly as I led her back to the table because she knew my words were true. It took me longer than I wanted to admit to get over the shock of Emma's act. We were so happy together, even she recognized that. We were so lucky, and yet she'd given it all up for what? A misguided attempt to lend support to some lowlife who happened to find her weak spot. A spouse lost to dementia. Eventually, I discovered that I had a weak spot, too. I had a weak spot for a middle-aged, red-haired, crooked-legged woman named Dawn who owned March Cottage. I moved out when she returned from New Zealand, but eventually moved back in permanently, but that's another story.